Hello everyone, my name is Asu Altunoğlu. In this video, I'm going to summarize Chapter 3 of Turkish Politics, which talks about political parties and elections. This chapter is going to talk about the historical and the social background of political parties in Turkey, as well as a short history of the election systems in these elections. As you know, political parties are indispensable elements of democratic life. Modern representative democracies function as party democracies, and that is why it is difficult to imagine a democracy without political parties. Political parties are collective minds, and we can say they're collective minds who come together to set their order. Political parties emerge out of social divisions or social conflicts. The main political division in Turkey is center-periphery division, with reference to Şerif Mardin's article. Center and periphery terms, of course, here do not imply geographical distance, but when we say center-periphery, we talk about social or political dichotomies, such as the elite and the public, or the military and the reaya, and so on. The Ottoman political order, as we talked in the previous chapters, aimed to protect the absolute separation between the ruling class and the raya. For example, this can be an example of the center-periphery division in Turkish political history. With the modernization process, which started in the 19th century, the separation between the two even got larger as the political power of the modernizing bureaucrats increased, and the reaya became more oriented towards Islamic values. This resulted in a power struggle between secular modernizing elites and the conservative political elite. And parties emerged out of this conflict in the second constitutional era. So we need to look at the second constitutional era now to understand this division and how parties emerged out of this division. The foundations of the party system were laid down in the second constitutional era in terms of Turkish political life. The most important political organization in this era is the Committee of the Union and Progress, as we would call in Turkish, İttihat ve Terakki Cemiyeti. This would later turn into a political party, as you know, and it was established by Young Turks. Let's remember Young Turks. Young Turks was a secret organization at the beginning, established by bureaucrats and especially students in a lot of Western-oriented schools. The committee actually came together in a request of constitutional monarchy. But of course, this wasn't how can I say? Not all of them had the same political view. There were members with different political views in it, and we can talk about two wings actually. The followers of Ahmet Rıza and the followers of Prince Sabahattin made up two wings in the İTC, and these wings would later turn into divisions and political parties. Let's look at the ideology. The official or maybe visible ideology of Young Turks was Ottomanism, but since they were largely influenced by nationalist views of the French Revolution, and also in the same time, you know, other nations within the Ottoman Republic were also influenced by these views, and İTC's ideology became Turkism. And this was as a result of a lot of certain world conditions and necessities to protect the empire from collapsing because of nationalist movements. The first elections, with their pressure, took place in 1908, as you know, after the revolution. İTC and Ottoman Ahrar Party took part, which were representatives of the two wings I mentioned. And these two parties took part in the elections, and Ahrar Party, the followers of Prince Sabahattin, was able to bring only one candidate into the parliament. And so we can say this period can be considered as a political laboratory for Turkey, because we've learned a lot of positive and negative experiences out of this experience in the second constitutional period and the first elections and the formation of political parties. Let's look at another historical era now, which is important for political parties in Turkish political history, and that is the first National Assembly. We should talk about the National Assembly because of elections and the groups in it, but there were no parties in this period. As you know, the Grand National Assembly convened on the 23rd of April in 1920, and there were members from the last General Assembly of the Ottoman Empire, and also there were newly elected members in this assembly. But this assembly is a non-party assembly. Later, in 1921, after never-ending discussions in the parliament, two groups were formed, as you would remember, Anatolian and Rumelian Defense of Rights Group and Second Defense of Rights Group. But these were only groups existing in the parliament, in the assembly. They didn't have a reflection in the public. They didn't have a division of ideologies reflected in the society. That's why we don't consider these groups as political parties. After that, we have the one-party period. As you know, Atatürk established People's Party before the proclamation of the Republic on the 9th September of 1923. On 29th October 1923, as we know, the Republic was declared or proclaimed, and after that the name of the party was changed. The name of the party was changed into Republican People's Party, which we know CHP in Turkish, which we call CHP in Turkish. In 1925, another party was founded, which is called Progressive Republican Party. In Turkish we say Terakkiperver Cumhuriyet Fırkası. But it was closed very shortly after it was founded by the government because of the support it was called to give to the Sheikh Said rebellion. In 1930, another political party was established, Liberal Republican Party. In Turkish, we call it Serbest Cumhuriyet Fırkası. This party was founded again with nationalist views, but with a focus on economic problems, and it was founded with Atatürk's request, actually. But still, it was also closed with Atatürk's request when the idea of a guided opposition was out of control, when this party grew or developed stronger than it was expected. So until 1946, we still see the one-party period. And in this period, the 2-degree electoral system was used and the representation was rather low. Let's look at the multi-party period. In 1945, we can talk about the formation of a new party because 5 deputies removed from or resigned from CHP came together and they established a new party under the leadership of Celal Bayar. The name of this party is Democrat Party. They were unprepared, and although they weren't very strong at the time for the 1946 elections, they won 54 members in the parliament, and it was their first success. But there's something important about this elections, because the new majority method was used for the first time in 1946 elections. In 1950, though, the new elections were held with another new election system, and that is called the list majority system. But this meant weaker presentation than the other one. The results of the 1950 elections were 52% for Democrat Party and 39% for CHP. And this signed the start of a new two-party period, which would last for 10 years. These elections, 1950 elections, we can say, were the first in history, in Turkish history, because people first time freely changed the power through their votes. And the CHP Democrat Party struggles were also based on the center-periphery duality we mentioned at the beginning of the chapter, which is still continuing in the Turkish political life. The Democrat Party period ended when a junta organized within the army seized power on the 27th of May in 1960, as you know. Thank you.